Okay, today I'm going to show you oil, lube, and tune-up and the rip-off scam. Okay, what those lube and tune shops don't tell you. You're taking your car in for an oil change, okay, and I'm going to show you what that you don't know, and they don't tell you, and you're thinking you're getting this service, and you're not, and you probably paid for it. Okay, here's a Chevy. There you go. There's your oil dipstick. How you can check your oil. There's your filler cap. Okay, the transmission oil. Huh. Where is the dipstick? The transmission oil. Yeah. A lot of us mechanics agree on change your oil. That was just a rip-off scam, people. They want you to take your car into the dealership or the tune and lube shops and charge you a ton of money just to change the oil in your transmission. You know, new car, you get the oil changed up in your transmission, it costs you a lot of money. Why does it cost you more money to drain the oil pan in your transmission than it does motor oil? You know, there's a difference in a true transmission service and an oil change in your transmission. When they just pull the pan plug, drain the pan, and change the filter, they're not changing all the oil in your transmission. Okay? Now here's an older car. You do a tune-up on it. There's your oil dipstick down there. There's your transmission fluid dipstick. Okay? You know, I recommend you plan to buy a new car and it's an automatic, it don't have one of these, I recommend you back away from that car. Go buy a car where you can check your transmission oil. It's kind of a stupid idea, unable to check your transmission oil while you're out on the road. Okay, here I'm back to the newer car. You're getting a tune-up. Okay? The one things the new cars don't have is spark plug wires. Okay? It's just a coil pack that goes on top of the spark plug. Well, to me, the price should be cheaper for a tune-up on these models because they no longer use spark plug wires. And I think a lot of times people paid for a tune-up in the old days. All they ever did was change the spark plugs and maybe check the timing. So, anyways, I thought I'd show you that. That's another rip-off scam. It could be done by the tune-up shop or the dealership. You know, 4-cylinder. How come the tune-up costs more than the old car V8s when you don't use spark plug wires? Okay, now let's get back to the lube part. Okay, they changed your oil. You know, on the old cars, they go down there and they grease the drive shaft U-joints, the ball joints, the tie rods, the idler arm. All those were serviceable parts. What they're not telling you, you're thinking you're paying for a lube service. Okay, all you're doing is getting an oil change. The newer cars, when they come from the factory, they don't have the zert fittings. Okay, you can't grease your ball joints, your tie rods, and your idler arm down there. In fact, a lot of the new cars don't use a drive shaft anymore. They use the front wheel drive. They got a CV joint, and those are packed with grease. And the best thing to do, if you see a crack in them, you don't have to replace the whole axle. You can just replace the rubber boot. That's one thing they don't tell you. Okay? As long as those axles ain't making a noise when you're making a right turn or a left turn, they ain't going click, 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 click. The axle's probably good. Just have your friend, who's the backyard mechanic, if he knows how to do it, change to rubber CV boots. Yeah, they got a new one. They're called split boots. Install some split boots. Alright. And that'll save you a lot of money there, because I think they're only like 20 bucks for the split boots. And alright, so I thought I'd tell you that. There's a lot of little rip-off scams on these new cars nowadays. So, anyways. So when you go to a lube and tune shop, they're ripping off a lot of people, technically, because they don't grease any of the parts. And the belt, the fan belt, serpentine belt, a lot of the cars only have one belt. You know, most cars, they'll have a little schematic how the belt goes back on. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's schematic how the belt runs around the pulleys. If you don't have a manual, look at the engine, draw the pulleys on a piece of paper, and like how they show it right here, you make your own schematic there, how to run the serpentine belt. Now, this is a nice idea, but there's a problem with the idea, and I'll show you. Okay, you see that pulley there, right there? There's your belt tensioner. Some of these models, you either put a wrench or a ratchet in a square hole, and you can swing it right or left. That's how you take the belt off, put it back on. That's how you get the tension adjustment. But the big one with that bad problem with some of these new cars is this pulley right here, right there. Some of them are plastic. Well, as the car gets old, that breaks. Guess what? Overheating, no charging system, no air conditioning. Yeah, they should make them change that to a metal one instead of being plastic. You know, with a good bearing in there. And you do a brake job, well, some of these new cars, the wheel bearings are sealed and there's no way to grease them. Anyways, the difference between a backyard auto mechanic and the ones that works in the shop is the heart. You know, the backyard mechanic do a lot of the work. Most of the time the reason why he can't fix it is not because he don't know how. There's two reasons. One, tightwads don't want to spend the money. Okay, they don't want to fix the car. They don't want to buy the parts. And when a backyard mechanic will take a look at it first, then tell you what's wrong with it, well, the shop mechanic, they charge, a lot of them charge a diagnostic fee. Good auto repair place should never charge you a diagnostic fee. Whether it be a bad pulley, bad alternator, just tell you. And a lot of those old lube shops that you see, well, their job is get the most money out of you as they can. When I worked in a lube shop, they're talking to this guy about his little I think it was a 1970 Datsun. Oh, you need a new fan belt, you know? Told him the price. Well, the guy told him, well, I can change that myself. The old service writer tells him, oh, I don't know, man. That's looks pretty hard. I'm sorry. One fan belt, not hard. Not comparing when a lot of cars have 4 or 5 belts. More than one belt to run. That's why they came up with the serpentine belt. One belt fits all. Very sweet idea. Only one problem. If one of those pulley wheels lock up, well, you're sitting alongside the road and you need a tow truck to come take you home. Or the old cars, fan belt breaks. Chances are you can take a belt off one pulley, put it on the one that broke. Like here, get going back on the road. You can't do that with these new cars. Anyhow, the rip-off scam by the oil and lube and tune shops.